This doesn't feel safe. Are you sure we're allowed to do this?
It'll be fine. Birthday magic only comes around once a year. Ready?
Triangulum, intangulum, metaphorus dominus ventium, metaphorus venitus area.
Howdy. Are you one of those Gravity Falls fans that keeps complimenting the awesome mouse cursor made by Sakiki on Tumblr? Or maybe you're just wondering what happened to Bill after Gravity Falls ended and Owl House began? I sure hope so, because if you're just here for Deltarune, next time, okay? I promise. Just this once, I'd like to take a moment to celebrate the series finale of Owl House by taking a look at one of this show's most underrated and unresolved mysteries. Where is Bill Cipher? For those who don't know, Bill Cipher is originally from Gravity Falls, a show about a pair of twins trying to uncover the mysteries of the strange and surreal world around them. Much like Deltarune and Undertale, there's a lot of interesting little details hidden away in the background, just begging for a conspiracy theory-loving nerd to come along and piece them together, including multiple ciphers and puzzles that to this day still remain unanswered. But that's never really been my forte. Instead, I want to talk about a certain dream-invading antagonist whose deranged and off-the-wall antics once stole the hearts and minds of nerds everywhere.
Name's Bill Cipher, and I take it you're some kind of living ventriloquist dummy? I'm just kidding, I know who you are, Gideon.
Unfortunately, this analysis is going to require me to discuss the ending in detail, so if you haven't finished this series yet, this is your last chance to pause the video and go do that. Ready? Okay, now that I've successfully tanked my channel statistics, let's start with the obvious question. Why are we even looking for Bill? Didn't he turn to stone in the finale? Well, yes and no. While Bill was in the material world, he was able to create a physical form for himself. But Bill Cipher ultimately is, and has always been, an ethereal demon of dreams. His physical form is merely another made puppet for him to inhabit and play about with. Whenever he leaves it, it turns to stone. But I'm not asking what happened to his shell, I'm asking what happened to the real Bill Cipher, to the spectral entity that invades people's minds. But of course, to those of you just now finishing the finale, the answer to that probably seems pretty clear. He got erased in Stan's mind using the memory erasing gun, right? And, yes, it certainly looks that way at first. But what's that he's saying as he's dying? That's right, he's not just screaming nonsense. Play it in reverse, and you'll learn he's chanting an incantation to revive himself. But how does it work? And why is he spelling axolotl? To answer that question, we've got to open up Dipper and Mabel and the Curse of the Time Pirate's Treasure, a choose-your-own-adventure book in which they travel through time with Blendin Blandin to, you guessed it, find hidden treasure. If we use the time machine to go to the future, we can attempt to gain information about the location of said treasure by winning a space race, at which point, we will be presented with a choice to either detonate our boosters, pushing us ahead to the finish line and winning the race, or we can try to exploit a dip in the track, which will instead fling us into a time vortex. An especially risky option because no one really knows what happens in a time vortex, as it's such a reality-warping experience. The narration for it is actually written in a Caesar cipher, which unscrambles to reveal a link to a secret Gravity Falls page on the Disney XD website. Typing that in reveals, I have to make an account? Ugh. Okay, I made an account. Typing that in again will bring you, wait, what? Darn it, Disney. You couldn't even preserve a web page for your own merchandise? Ugh. Thank goodness for fan wikis. Through them, we can see that back when the book was first released, this link would bring you to the following secret page, depicting a time and space in between time and space. A strange glittering, milky void of infinite comfort, ruled by an enormous, omniscient salamander, known as the axolotl, which offers to use its infinite knowledge of the universe to answer any one question. So, Dipper asks, what do you know about Bill Cipher? And it answers,
60 degrees that come in threes, watches from within birch trees, saw his own dimension burn, misses home and can't return. Says he's happy, he's a liar. blame the arson for the fire. If he wants to shirk the blame, he'll have to invoke my name. One way to absolve his crime, a different form, a different time.
Those last 3 lines, stating that he can invoke the axolotl's name to absolve his misdeeds, seem to imply that this will allow him to be reborn, potentially in another world, or another fictional series. A different form, and a different time. And finally, after 7 years of watching and waiting, I think I've finally figured out, once and for all, where Bill Cipher was reborn after his death. After Gravity Falls concluded, its creator, Alex Hirsch, went on to work with series storyboard artist Dana Terrace to become a voice actor and creative consultant for the Owl House. Her new series, set in a world full of magic and mystery, that deconstructs the ways our societies tend to treat citizens who don't fit in, through the lens of a young human trying to learn how to use magic in the mystical realm of demons and witches. I adore the way this series takes complicated, difficult-to-approach issues and uses the metaphor of its fantasy world to break them apart and allow the viewer to analyze and discuss them without talking down to its younger audience or coming off as needlessly hostile to its older audience. But I'd say overall, this show is very worth the wait, so if you made it this far and haven't seen it yet, go do that, because I'm about to spoil the heck out of this thing. Okay, so, Owl House. Why do I think Bill Cipher would go here? Is there any evidence that this series is even connected to Gravity Falls? I mean, just because an artist works on both projects, that doesn't mean they always share a universe, right? Like, I'm not trying to suggest that Undertale shares a universe with Pokemon. But for Owl House in particular, there's a lot of evidence that Luce, Dipper, and Mabel all exist in the same human realm around the same time. What incredible, obscure background detail proves this unexpected connection? Grunkle Stan's ex-wife. Yes, I'm serious. There's actually a lot of little visual hints depicting Ida in Gravity Falls, including this wanted poster on page 23 of Gravity Falls, Lost Legends, and Albert Staff on page 26. But little visual details like that are found all the time between fictional series, and what we have is actually much more concrete than that. Throughout the series, Grunkle Stan makes lots of little jokes and references to his ex-wife, a character who was originally going to be in the episode Dreamscapers before it had to be cut for time. However, in journal number 3, we can actually find an entry about this episode, written by Dipper, in which he informs us that, between scenes, he saw a memory of Stan apparently wedding a waitress named Marilyn Rosenstein in Las Vegas for 48 hours. But it turned out she was just trying to steal his car. A true scam artist. Maybe she was the right one for him. Marilyn is mentioned again in the series proper, in the form of the romance-focused episode, Roadside Attraction, which includes a cryptogram that reads, Carl McCorkle returned all his flowers, Marilyn divorced him after only 6 hours, Beatrice slapped him for being a cad, Old Goldie's the best girlfriend Stan ever had. The other characters in this cryptogram, including Carla McCorkle, are real characters that show up in other episodes of the series, and, although the cryptograms do sometimes contain jokes, they do also often contain hints and pieces of world building, such as the cryptograph from Sock Opera, which foreshadows Weird Mugeddon, and the cryptograms in the Society of the Blind Eye, which elaborate on some of the erased memories of Gravity Falls' citizens. Later, we actually get the full story of Grunkle Stan's marriage by listening to the DVD-exclusive commentary of Land Before Swine, in which he says,
You probably want to hear about my ex-wife, right? I was actually married for less than a day. Vegas situation. We reached for the same slot machine handle and it was love at first sight. Marilyn had hair like an airline stewardess and a neon pink shirt that said, over 30 and very flirty. Man, I was putty in her hands. You should have seen the way she threw dice. One time right at my head. Turns out she only married me to distract me while she stole my car and all my winnings. And I guess her name was fake and her hair was fake. But, the love was real. She really was the one that got away. Like, literally, it was a proper getaway. She was chased by cop cars for about a mile out of Vegas before ducking out a door and into a canyon and making off with all my loot. Sometimes I still think of her. That pale bingo hall skin. That one weirdly sharp tooth.
Alright, but how do we know this? Marilyn is really Ida. I mean, we know Ida sometimes visits the human realm to steal garbage, but it's not like we have any direct link between Ida and the fake name Marilyn, right? Enter Owl House, Season 2, Episode 10. in which a barista, when asked about the picture of Ida in her shop, says,
Oh, Marilyn? Yeah, she tried to pay for a latte with a live raccoon a couple months ago.
the photograph of Ida is even signed as Marilyn. So at this point, we can definitely establish a connection between these two worlds. Okay, so we've proven the two worlds are connected, but where is Bill? Well, let's see. We're looking for a demon with a god complex, whose desires involve spreading chaos and ruling over the land with an iron fist, whom is being punished by the axolotl by taking another, presumably weaker form, to atone for his misdeeds.
Who dares intrude upon I, the king of
Demons! Who's the widow guy? Who's the widow guy? Is it you? Is it you?
No! I don't know who your little guy is! Ida! Who is this monster?
Well, that's on the nose. Meet the self-declared king of demons, known more casually as King. A little baby demon living in the titular owl house with a thirst for violence, conquest, and an army of worshipping fans, just like the ones he had in his former life before he lost his powers and was reduced to this weaker, more huggable form. He even has the same voice actor as Bill, doing basically the same sort of voice, and his original color design was going to be a nice bright gold, just like Bill Cipher. Although, post-production palette swaps do appear to be another fate the two have in common. Like the Mystery Shack, the owl house is filled to the brim with yellow, narrowly slitted, Bill Cipher-like eyes, very similar to the one King bears on his wanted poster. The stained glass one also feels very much like a callback to the stained glass eye in the Mystery Shack. And, to be honest, I do think this is a connection Alex wanted us to make, mainly so he could troll us. Because as the series progresses and we get to learn more about who King actually is, we learn that he's not really interested in power. He just wants friends, a motive Bill could never understand. And if this form is supposed to be a punishment to absolve him of his misdeeds, well, why would the axolotl choose a titan, one of the most powerful beings on the Boiling Isles, for Bill Cipher's new form? This is like the opposite of a punishment, right? By making Bill a titan, you're giving him everything he ever wanted. Power. Worshippers. So if King isn't Bill, then who is? The Collector? He does have this sorta shadowy puppet master motif after all. The same speaking in rhymes. The same playful, childlike attitude. But once again, this is a godlike being, whose primary desires in life involve making friends, not ruling over followers with an iron fist. But where else can we even search?
For that you must beseech our elder, the wisest hunter of them all, Bill!
Wait, I know what you're thinking. A human Bill? Burn the heretic. But hear me out for just a second, okay? First, Alex Hirsch never said that Bill couldn't become a human. In 2016, he said there has never been one. Past tense. And second, this Bill isn't a human. He's a witch in the demon realm. A witch, it should be noted, who shouts constantly, has no interest in friendship, and who desire to reign, cloaked in glory above all others. Just like Bill Cipher, he delights in causing suffering and specializes in laying clever traps to lure in his prey. He and the other Titan trappers pretend to be friends with King, in much the same way Bill pretends to be friends with Ford. Notice as well the blue flame upon his head. In Gravity Falls, this blue flame was the signature of Bill Cipher and would engulf a person the moment they shook his hand and thus sealed the deal, allowing him a direct connection to their mind. In Owl House, Bill the Huntsman uses a blue flame as part of a ritual, allowing him to form a direct connection between the minds of King and the Collector, who he worships. This connection mainly activates when King is dreaming, in much the same way Bill Cipher could only communicate with his human targets in their dreams. And it seems to run on Bill's magic, and not the Collector's, as the Collector isn't even aware that a connection has been made and seems surprised and confused when he hears King nearby. He's not a child, because he wasn't sent forward linearly when he was reborn. And that makes sense actually, because the axolotl did say, a different form, a different time. Although, given that both the Owl House and Gravity Falls include time travel mechanics, I wouldn't worry about the timeline of this a lot. And honestly, as far as taking another form as a way to absolve his misdeeds, I think this fits Bill a lot better than another demon or godlike being. Think about it. When he was a triangle, he used to boast that he was a being of infinite power with no weakness. But here, he is weak, he is mortal. His flesh is torn up and broken, his hearing ruined by the Titans. While the original Bill Cipher always seemed excited to have 2 working eyes, an upgrade he thought was deluxe. This Bill appears to be blind in his left eye, leaving him with only his right eye, the eye that Ford claimed burned and bled whenever he felt Bill possessing him. There's a certain irony to this godlike, immortal being, tricking mortals into worshipping and becoming puppets for him to amuse himself with, being reincarnated into a weak, powerless mortal, worshipping a godlike being that turns him into a puppet and plays childlike games with him. That, or I'm reading too much into this and Ida just turned him into a goat. Heck if I know. There are a lot of codes we still haven't cracked, and although I do own the limited edition Blacklight exclusive copy, I've never been great at breaking letter ciphers. And, you know, I'm not a Gravity Falls channel, so for now, my time has come to burn. I invoke this ancient power that I may return.